Greetings to all. You're listening to the sounds of Nefertia, courtesy of Sasquatch, Ontario, Mike Patterson. Please go to his channel, subscribe, and like. People are always asking me what a Sasquatch sounds like. And, you're listening to a Sasquatch right there. So they have that very deep, very rough voice, and actually, I believe that Sasquatch here in Nefertia is probably a younger juvenile, not a fully grown one. And he still has actually has for Sasquatch, a male, it has a high pitch, because most of them have adult, older Sasquatch will have a much deeper tone than that. But you can tell the Sasquatch language because when they talk, a Sasquatch, they speak on the inhale and the exhale. So I'll show you an example. Let's say, flower. That's inhale. Mike. That's inhale. Blow. That's inhale. So he'll transition from flower from flower to tree on and the inhale and exhale. So all Sasquatch do that, so that's why they sound real fast when they speak, because they don't have to pause while they're breathing. They speak in both directions very well, pretty well. It's just, but you can tell the difference in pitch when they are changing the direction of their breath. So there you have Sasquatch language, and there's a big difference argument about what Sasquatch is or what it isn't as well. If you go to genealogy and you look at the genes, hi Melba, she would tell you that only human beings and Sasquatch have a voice box, so that makes them unique in a category separate from all other primates. Okay. Coco can sign, sure, she can sign hundreds of words, but Coco can never say a word. She can make noises, she can grunt, she can burp, she can do all kinds of things, but without a voice box, she could never speak. Gorillas can't speak. So that's the big difference. So now, what this video is really about is there are actually two camps of Bigfoot people, right? And I want to start off by saying I made this video so everybody can understand that if you're a Bigfoot person, well, this is all one family. There's no right and there's no wrong. There's no room for shaming others because what you haven't experienced, what other people haven't experienced, doesn't make it not so. What it means is there are just other things that you need to add to your knowledge. Don't discredit it. Okay, so we get down to, there are two separate Sasquatch groups, and the big debate is the first thing is are they extraterrestrial being? Can they do things? Can they mind speak? Can they have do telepathy? Are they using portals? Can they cloak? Can they disappear? And all kinds of Sasquatch people are saying they can do all that. Now there's the other people that are saying, you know what, this is just another type of human being with a voice box that can speak. It's a subhuman species that has taken to the forest just to get away from the ugliness of man and is smart enough to stay away from us. So you have people that say they don't do any of those things. You're crazy if you think they do. So I want to straighten everything out. This is what this video is about. I want to tell both sides that both sides are correct. You're both right. How are you both right? Because there are different types of entities. There's not one Sasquatch type. There are several Sasquatch types. There's a dogman. There's other things that are not are out of this dimension that can come into this dimension. So you have to understand that there's a wide variety of entities, from ETs to Sasquatch people. So what I want to get into is, so you have this group here that says, hey, our Sasquatch mind speak, and okay, they do. The whatever there is that they are working with, they're telling you they're mind speaking, they're using telepathy. That is true. That doesn't mean that that Sasquatch or that whatever entity they're working with is the exact same entity that you're working with, just because they put the label Sasquatch on it. It could look like a Sasquatch. It's a big brown human hair-covered being, but it's not the same type of Sasquatch. It's not the same type of entity. It's not from the same place. It's not from the same time. It's different. So you got people over here that are running into these Sasquatch that are just like a human being, a natural Native American that's hiding from the forest, doesn't do anything special. It's just a person living out there in the wild. It's a Sasquatch person that's living in the forest. It doesn't do anything special. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't cloak. It doesn't go through portals. And those people are correct. You're right. You're right. I'm going to tell you you're right. All the people, both of you, both sides are right. The reason I want to get you all to unite and understand is, let's take it back to history. If you go back and look at history, all the quarrels of man, scientific quarrels, usually come down to a center point where both were right. You look at the great latest scientific quorum, which was quantum physics. You got this party screaming, hey, it's particles. We're right. We know what we're doing. You guys are shitheads. We're right. It's strings. It's not particles. You guys don't know shit. So you got these two sides weighing against each other. It turns out they were both right. It turns out it's a membrane made up of particle and string. They're both right. Both fields of Sasquatch people are right. Sasquatch do use portals. Sasquatch are being telepathic with people. People are seeing Sasquatch disappear in front of their eyes. People over here, they are having just regular lifetime experiences with Sasquatch that don't do any of that stuff. They're just another type of person living close to them. Now, another big thing about these two and what you're working with is, if you got several different kinds, let's say there's 3 different types, right? I know a type that I've come across in the national forest, and national forest is a big difference, I think, between the mindset of a Sasquatch that's living in a protected national forest. It's protected and it's living in some of the most pristine environments that we have left, national parks. then there's the Sasquatch that don't live in those areas, and their attitude is totally different than the national parks. National parks are a lot calmer. They're a lot more interactive. If you have a high vibrational being, if you have love in your heart, you're not carrying a gun, you're not carrying a camera, you're just out there to have an experience. Those Sasquatch that I know, just like human beings, we get abducted by UFOs. There are Sasquatch, like in the Sierras, they get abducted by UFOs. Now those have never done anything like portal or anything, but I have seen those Sasquatch, a craft come close to the Sasquatch, and interaction between Sasquatch and the Palladian craft. Okay, so somehow I understood from my Palladian family, star family, that they interact and are abducted. Some are abducted, some interact. Now the local Sasquatch that live here in San Gabriel, close to the city, are a different, totally different type from up there, smaller. The ones up there in the Sierras they're 12 foot plus. The ones here in Southern California, they're black, mostly black, and they're 9 foot or smaller. But the ones here are not in national parks, and they're super skittish. They're only nocturnal. They don't want to interact, not even with me. They'll show themselves, but they won't interact. They won't trade. They've never talked. I've heard them hoop and holler and screech. So it's like it's a different kind. It's almost like they're the chimpanzee kind, like hooper, holler, screech, make noise, but they don't actually talk. Like the up north, the big ones up north, the big red guys, they talk. They have a language. They can speak English just like this. They can say hello. And they'll mimic you when you say a word to them. They'll mimic you, and they'll say it over and over to the 5 or 6 times, so they get it right. So they think they get it right, and then they'll try another word with you. They'll laugh. They're funny guys. But there is a difference, and I found the 2 different types here in California. I've never run into a dog man. I've had 2 interactions with what are little people in an area called Trona, California, in the back hills of Trona. I ran into them in the same spot twice. So I do know those things exist too. But I just want to say, everybody, have your heart rest at ease that you're both right. You're both right. Whatever you're interacting is what it is. It is a different type of Sasquatch that does this. This type of Sasquatch doesn't do that. Maybe this Sasquatch does do it, but they're not showing it to you. Maybe these people over here, they are showing it to. So maybe there's so much to weigh in and to go on. But for us as a whole Bigfoot family to ridicule and to split apart, let's get back together by letting each other know that we're both right. We're both right. If you look back in history, you'll see that both sides usually turn out to be 50% right. Right? Right. And they say, in any good compromise, both parties come away slightly discouraged, right? And disappointed, right? But that is the right compromise, and and it's the truth. And I believe that as a shaman and working with star people and working with the Sasquatch people, that I've understood that there's a lot of things out there. There are the skinwalkers, there are the rake, there are the succubus, there are the jinn. There are all these things that are out there we don't understand. Some of them are outside of our visual spectrum, and some of them only exist in a cave, in a far-off mountain, in the desert wasteland. Okay? So all Bigfoot family, you're both right. Congratulations, you guys. Be good. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Stay clean. Wipe all your things with this coronavirus. Keep your vibrations high. But, you know, even I want to tell the people that pray and do all the crystals, okay, that's great. But keep clean. Wear your gloves. Wear your mask. Wash down all the surfaces that everybody touches together. Okay? Namaste.